Coach knows it's coming. That was a well-placed bucket of fries.
Yeah, they're going to have to get some folks in here and take care of this because we saw it bubbling up during the course of the game.
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
You are listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast, recording just shortly after Christmas, featuring us, the Online Sports Guys. We hope you all had a Merry Festivus, a happy holiday, and looking forward to a wonderful new year. We are back with some college football talk. As we get toward the end of the year, we reach the end of bowl season as the college football semifinals are upon us. But before we get into bowl game previews, we got to talk about the elephant in the room here, guys. And that's the impact that COVID has had on bowl games so far. We've now got, 3 games canceled, plus the Gator Bowl where Texas A&M had to bail out because they didn't have enough players. Rutgers will now square off with Wake Forest in that game, and I wish J-Dub was here to talk about that, but he's not.
I think A&M had yellow fever.
I think
it's a bit of a game changer here, guys. We're seeing bowl games make adjustments on the fly, and we're seeing some, like poor Memphis, goes out to Hawaii only to find out they're not playing football and turns around and comes back, but they got the trophy.
That is true.
How do you not stay?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out too. I think I said last week on the show that Hawaii was going to win the game because Memphis, what they should do is party.
Yeah.
Go on free trip to Hawaii. Well, now you're going to have to play the game.
Seriously, just one more luau.
I mean, now that's a reward for a good season, wouldn't you say?
But I mean, to Wilkie, to your point though, I mean, it's like you go out there and play in the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl. And by the way, if you haven't followed Easy Post on Twitter, you should, considering their live coverage of a bowl game that never happened was amazing. Go back in their timeline at Easy Post.
I'll download it and get it and add it into the show.
Sweet. But you go to Hawaii. You're playing on Christmas Eve. And then you're not playing. And the whole idea was to go and play on Christmas Eve in Hawaii. And now you're in Hawaii away from your family and you're not playing on Christmas Eve. So it's like this double-edged sword that you're dealing with here. It's like, yeah, it's cool to go out to Hawaii for Christmas Eve, but then you don't play, and then you're away from your family doing something that you wanted to do, but it ended up not doing. So it was wacky all across the board there with Easy Post, but the motivation, obviously leaving Memphis. But yeah, I would have stayed, and I would have brought as many family members as possible and had the bowl game cover the cost.
If we're going to buy an extra flight, send them out.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes out of Memphis's pocket. From a practical matter, I get it. You're talking about a big expense to fly who you had to fly out there in the first place, and maybe you're saving a few bucks by coming back a little bit early.
No, you're having to rebook your flight. They're not doing you any favors on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm sure the costs were covered.
Yeah.
Already. So to stay and enjoy a nice Christmas luau without having to play a football game. I mean, come on, like I said. Yeah, what a way to reward a good season. Go to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
don't need to play a football game
season, but
come on, it's a group of 5 school. They got no shot at a national championship. Go to Hawaii. Come on, enjoy life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of national championships, the Gators have lost to both 2017 national champions this year.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that here in a few minutes once we start kind of recapping games because, that one was watched with some anticipation, and there is some mocking and jokes that
some mocking. Some, sir.
That's what I do. Please forgive me that. Right now, though, we're talking about COVID and its impact on ball games, and we talked a little bit about what happened with the ones that got postponed.
Yeah.
The bigger issue at play to me is something that the College Football Playoff Committee came out with this week, stating that, in theory, we could have a college football playoff champion who never actually sets foot on the field to play the game, because you can win by forfeit if the other team doesn't have enough people to dress out.
I'm just going to say this real quick. What's best for business? What's best for business is having ball games.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes, and we've seen this in Tuscaloosa with the University of Alabama and what they're trying to do to make sure that they are playing in these games. It will be what's best for business to make sure that all three of these games are played. If a team ends up being shorthanded, like we've seen with another couple of bowl games that have been taken off the books this year. This weekend, it was the military and the Fenway, because of I think more than 40 BC players had one issue or another. But I'm sorry, these three games are going to get played, and I appreciate the NCAA sitting, or the CFP sitting there saying that, that they're going to take every precaution necessary, and if it's a forfeit, it's a forfeit. These three games will be played because of the money that is on the table.
How many seats are in Jerry's World? And they do not want to
Six
refund
figures,
all those.
man. You've been there. It's 6 figures plus the plaza.
Taking your theory into the real world here, what happens if you're that school that fudges some COVID reports to make sure that you have enough people to play the game? I don't think you're going
to
where you're fudging reports. I think that if you're going to be playing with 65 players instead of 100, you're going to be playing with 65 players instead of 100. It will be that 3.5 hours, that 4+ hours of television programming will happen. A team will have to play with however many healthy players there are, and these teams will make sure that their rosters of 100+ are going to be involved. But if it ends up being a roster of 65, it will get played.
Plus, tests that aren't taken don't come back positive.
Do you want to be the one? Really, do you want to be the one that word leaks out? And don't say that the word won't leak out, because it will. In this era of social media, that stuff gets out.
Yeah, well, it'll get out, but nothing's going to happen to them.
Yeah, if you have a bag man collecting the tests instead of the, you have somebody show up in a smock or in a, lab coat. Once they leave, that's it. Everybody's like, yeah, I got swabbed.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the issue for the teams that have had to roll over and not play in their games so far is, technically you have 85 scholarship players on a Division I roster,
right?
And you have to have, I want to say it's either 40 or 45 in order to field a team to play the game.
So BC was right there on the number, yeah.
Right, and Texas A&M was just underneath that, which is why they didn't play. And no, I don't buy the conspiracy theory that they just kind of said, "Fucking playing."
I'm sorry. I look at the head coach there, and I put nothing past them whatsoever. Your starting quarterback is portaling. You have injuries. You have folks opting out. Plus,
they're buying new players left and right.
So I'm naturally.
No, you're not wrong there, Marty.
They've quadrupled their name, image, likeness in the past 3 months.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong with what you said.
I know. I live down here.
I mean, technically, that is what you're doing in the portal these days.
Well, A&M would be the one that would actually decide not to play, and as Phil said, screw it. We don't need to go down to Jacksonville and break a sweat. But Virginia and BC, I mean, this was a big deal for both programs, especially for Virginia. Yep. Since Bronco Mendenhall has announced his retirement, this was supposed to be his going away party, and it's not going to happen. And Boston College, they're building something there in Chestnut Hill, and this was kind of seen as a chance to get an extra game in, get some extra practices, and build for next year. Now that's not going to happen. So those were two that you could see would not say, screw it, we're not going to play this game. But to Phil's point, in the future, I wouldn't be shocked if this happened. If a team gets invited to a bowl game, they get a few practices in and say, screw it, we don't want to play this game. And because you got players that are doing that now, guys like Kenny Pickett, and have decided not to play in the bowl games. Why not teams after a while? I mean, extra practice be damned.
I can see
teams get paid. The players don't for those games.
Well, they do now, though.
I mean,
that's what I want to see with some of the name, image, likeness stuff. Is like, you had Quinn Ewers coming in. He had $1 million thing. He had this. I don't know if you ever saw it on his social media. He had a ridiculous monster truck.
Yeah, I saw that.
Are they going to start getting stipulations on their endorsements about?
You would hope
playing time, about staying at the school, paying back if you leave.
Well, I think that's probably going to be coming down the road soon, as administrators try to figure out how to police this. And is there going to be somebody that on the national scene to be able to relegate this? Right now, we don't. It's a wild west.
Like a nationwide organization that overlooks sports that should make some rules to help people.
Exactly. If you had a commissioner for college football,
like during a pandemic or during a large money type situation.
Marty, stop being logical here.
As long as you got the conferences having all the power, this is what you're going to get. And now it's an arms race. It's always been an arms race in college football, but now dollars dictate the terms rather than facilities. And there you go. I mean, it's you're seeing the Wild West right now. Nobody knows how to regulate this, and it's all kind of hit and miss right now. You brought up what will these sponsors do? I think about Spencer Rattler, who was benched by Oklahoma, and he had a lucrative deal with the largest car dealership in Oklahoma. Gave him 2 cars valued over $100,000, and he's benched halfway through the season. And does he continue to sponsor him when he goes to South Carolina? I mean, these are things that hopefully in 5 years we will have some answers, and maybe there's some kind of cap or stipulation about how this happens. But guys, let's watch in the next few months when the tax bills start coming.
Oh, yes.
This is where I'm really interested in, is how they're going to handle because they're 1099 employees.
We talked about that last week, but getting back to what the topic at hand, if for some reason, say hypothetically speaking, there is a team that's got 50 plus players on COVID, and that aren't eligible to play in the game because of it, then what happens? You're talking about your
first playoff. For the playoff? For the playoff.
You're talking about a team winning a playoff game by forfeit.
It won't be a forfeit. It'll be an ugly game. It won't be a forfeit.
Yeah, I agree. They're gonna play the game.
Yeah.
If
those games will
if we got 6 or 7 walk-ons out there, it's going to happen. And it may happen for the other school too.
I mean, we're living in a world right now where the NBA is literally signing guys off the street to come play right now, suit up and play right now, because they don't have enough players on their rosters. So anything's possible. But I'm really curious to see if it will play itself out, because the idea just fascinates me. And I think think about the arguments that would ensue because of it.
Now, what is the protocol if all 4 people or all the teams go into COVID shutdown?
Then they don't award a champion this year.
Yeah, then
they're going to move it back a week and then play.
Yeah, they'll back a week or two to make sure that those games get played. I see your point.
The way they wrote it is there's like a 4 or 5 day window where they have to play each of the games. So if one of the New Year's games gets postponed, they have to play it like by the end of the week.
They wrote it a week ago. They can rewrite it in another week.
I was going to say, does the term emergency session mean anything to you guys?
Exactly. The CFP will go behind closed doors.
Yes.
And they will rewrite the rule book. Hey, look, here's a new set of rules.
They'll do it down here in Dallas.
I'm also curious to see what they do about the fans that are actually supposed to come, because we're starting to see some restrictions on fans again at events.
I don't think college football is going to restrict it much.
You won't have that in Texas here at the Cotton.
No. There's certain places where there'd be zero impact, and there's certain bowl games where it'd be zero impact because nobody actually goes to the bowl games anyway. But that being said, your playoff games
of all the tight shots.
In theory, your playoff game should draw a pretty big crowd.
Yeah, they will. In theory, yes. Yeah.
But to go back to Marty's point, they're playing one game's in Florida and the other one's in Texas. So the likelihood of them putting any kind of a restriction on them, just barely north of none.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
restrictions, yes.
SeatGeek's been showing a lot of tickets open for the Cotton Bowl. I don't know if people are just scared of that matchup, or if they're worried about travel. It could be a 50-50 on that.
Well, and I mean, also, if you're waiting for the ticket to decrease, then you're inside the 14-day window for the event itself. And so cost to fly is going to be astronomical. So I think that it might be just hitting people's price points in the wrong place. And I think that might be why, more than anything.
Yeah. Bama can drive.
Yes, they can. And they will.
Could be. Moving on to other topics at hand, guys. You want to blow through here some of the bowl games from this past week? Because there were some.
Yeah, baby. Because we need a report from the Metroplex about the Metroplex football classics.
Oh, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Monday's games, the Myrtle Beach Bowl presented by Tax Act. Tulsa with the 30-17 win over Old Dominion. This game was over by kickoff because Tulsa returned it for a touchdown and rolled on to a big win. No big surprises there.
Nope.
The same day, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, which featured the dumping of the French fries at the end.
I'm a huge fan of that.
I like that.
Me too.
Was won by Wyoming, thanks in large part to Wyoming quarterback Levi Williams, who, while he only threw for 127 yards and a touchdown, he ran for 200 yards and 4 TDs, leading the Cowboys to a win, and then immediately announced that he was entering the transfer portal.
Of course, that won't be the last that happened. Did you guys see any of this game that had two of the ugliest uniform setups for the entire bowl season playing on the Smurf turf? So it created the contrast.
I wasn't sure how ugly they were, or if the turf was just making it worse.
It's a combination of both, and it's interesting.
And the for Kent throwing up.
Yeah. Well, there's always one for bowl game, someone puking. But, it's interesting, Phil, you bring up the point about the quarterback for Wyoming is transferring. Craig Bowl actually put out an ad in Twitter looking for a quarterback for next year who used up their junior college eligibility or in a transfer portal and looking for a new home. So kind of a clever way for Wyoming to search for a new starting quarterback for next year.
Well done.
Yeah, we entered the era of coaches doing commercials or getting videos produced to start recruiting their kids. But not
power to them if you're ahead of the curve.
Brian Kelly video, though.
Oh, no.
Christ.
Pew, pew.
No, stop it. And then San Diego State beats Texas San Antonio by 14, 38-24 in the first of the games in the Metroplex.
Unfortunately, I didn't attend that
one. You were in attendance?
I didn't attend the San Diego one. I went to the same stadium 2 days later for the other one that had a slightly darker 50-yard line logo. They doubled down on the paint.
Absolutely true.
They did have the logos similar shape.
Of course.
But before we get to that,
low maintenance.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention the Army-Missouri game where the Black Knights of Army got the win 24-22 on a game-winning field goal by Cole Talley, 41 yards, as they come back and beat the Mizzou Tigers in a good season for Army. They finished 9-4, even though they lost to Navy just 2 weeks previous.
Well, they can say they'd be an SEC team that closed the season.
Yeah, SEC is not doing well against Power 5 right now.
That doesn't
foreshadowing.
Rated this year.
That game was great. That was the first game I went to this week. Took my nephew for his first game, Noah. He was beside himself. He wasn't quite sure who to root for. He thought Army's offense was boring until he started getting a load of Buchanan, who...
Oh, Jacoby Buchanan.
Halfway through the first quarter, we just started calling him Boom Cannon because he was just trucking people. It was ridiculous.
Call. And there's the one call from the Jacoby Buchanan touchdown where he just ran over two dudes from Missouri, and the crew from the Four Letter, who traditionally does the HBCU games, got to call this one, and they had so much fun calling Jacoby Buchanan, who, by the way, 6'2", 260. Jacoby Buchanan, and he was.
It looked like Myles Garrett at running back.
Handoff, Buchanan, right side, bullies a defender at the 5, and then rumbles into the end zone for the touchdown.
Literally a tank.
Literally a tank.
Oh, it was unreal. Then just to see Army pass the ball that well was amazing, especially considering the starter's down and you got the backup in and they've got less than a minute to score. It was like, a minute 10 when they got the ball back. That was great seeing him go for 2 and miss it. And we were like, uh-oh, what's this guy's range? We're looking, nephew's looking on his phone. He's like, he hasn't anything over 40 yards. And then we're looking there and it's, how long is that? He's like 41. I'm like, uh-oh. It's like, I don't know. They hit that field goal and then there's the flag. We're like, oh, come on. And then ended up, they had two number
sixes on the defense. How do you do that? How, if you're Eli Drinkwitz, do you have two dudes with the same number? Who's your special teams coordinator here? Two dudes with the same number in trying to block the field goal. How?
It's bowl season.
Oh,
yes, it's exactly, Wilkie. Exactly what you said. In the final game of the Frisco trifecta, the Frisco Football Classic, Miami of Ohio 27,
aptly named.
Texas 14.
yes.
That one was ugly. As a former employee, former employee of UNT, I went just because he had some rooting interest with them, and it's my nephew, my brother, and I, and they were just flat after the second half.
Mm-hmm.
It was ugly.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Not as ugly as the stuff they were selling in the tent for people that wanted to get swag. It basically, they just, ESPN must own the company that's doing the Four Letters. Must own the whoever's printing the shirts, because they were the exact same shirts with the other. You could tell they had a template. I was less than impressed.
Oh, so
they just changed the letters slightly.
But I got to tell you what, for a team that doesn't normally get a lot of home support, UNT's allotment of tickets was full. Like, we at that stadium, that side was full, and then Miami one had a lot of Miami fans dressed as red seats, and then there's some spattering of green here and there over on the other side. Unusual protests, and I'll have to send you those photos.
Nothing says holiday travel for folks in Oxford, Ohio, than going to Frisco, Texas for Christmas.
Yeah, that's a bit of a drive.
But just down the street, they have the Video Game Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
It's actually not a bad thing.
It's excellent, to be honest.
I can't wait to see the induction ceremonies for that.
Oh, man. Trans 69XG, you're a 2022 Video Game Hall of Famer.
They actually have a 1985 video game store as a display inside there.
Oh, wow.
And there's copies of E.T. in the sale bin.
Oh.
You walk into a diorama, and it's basically your bedroom from your childhood. If you want to feel really old. And then they've got a Pong that's on a projector screen where the controllers are about the size of hubcaps. The old Coleco, just move the dial. So it's actually pretty impressive if you come down there.
So if you get inducted, do you get a gold jacket?
I don't know. I'd have to think it's since 80s, probably black satin.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Or crushed
There's REO Speedwagon on the back.
There you go. Can we make fun of the University of Florida now?
Yes.
Yes, we're getting there.
Okay.
And a game that featured the funniest thing to people who are residents of Florida and residents of Georgia at the same time. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl played in Tampa, featuring UCF in Florida. And for all the barking UCF did wanting to get their shot at Florida, they acted on it. They beat the Gators, and they beat them soundly 29-17 in a game really that wasn't that close.
Bowser fighting. Touchdown, UCF.
No. And
Not at all.
Hysterically the entire time. Emory Jones is a quarterback for the University of Florida, Heard County, Buchanan, Georgia, by the way. Buchanan, Georgia, by the way.
Yep.
Last quarterback standing.
Yeah, but the thing is that he had already announced he was portaling.
Right.
And allegedly, going into this game, one of the schools that was interested perhaps in Emory Jones's service was on the other sideline.
Yeah.
I imagine that after said game, they were like, nah, we're good.
We're good.
We'll go someplace else.
I like who I got. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And except for the Joey Gatewood sighting that happened in a goal line situation, and he almost throws an interception that was returned the other way. So the Joey Gatewood experiment continues to be an abject failure for Gus Malzahn, who's gone gray, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, just he quit the paint job and the hair, and now he's gone completely gray with a bit of a buzz cut now at UCF.
I thought it was a name, image, likeness doing that to him.
Grecian formula, maybe. Waiting for that one.
It's that Orlando lifestyle, guys. I'm telling you, it chills everybody out.
But
like, how is Winnebago not a sponsor of two Florida teams playing? You got to have like a trailer company somewhere.
It does kind of make you wonder.
Or the folks that run the Florida Turnpike, FDOT. Maybe they could sit there and be a sponsor. But and then of course you had the fight after the game between the angry UF players and the UCF players who really just kind of it's like, okay, yeah, you lost by 12. You want to fight now? Okay, fine.
Yeah, so, they're laughing all the way.
Yeah, and
about time you had a little fight in you.
Yeah, really? After the game's over. So class from Gainesville. What a surprise.
Yeah, and bragging rights in the state of Florida go to the UCF Fighting Knights this year.
I don't think they're going to play anytime soon.
No.
Gators getting beat by both 2017 national champions again.
That is true.
Just saying. It's a rare honor.
It's a rare talent there.
That'll be on the media guide next year.
Oh, you know it will. You absolutely know it will be on the media.
It should. We still
Florida
celebrate
champions.
beating Florida with the time Georgia Southern beat Florida. It's still a rallying cry for us a decade later.
So is there going to be a UCF Florida champion ring?
Oh, I'm sure. Or a championship belt, I'm sure.
That would be cool.
That'd be great.
Be awesome. Big champion.
And the final game of the week, guys, the Camellia Bowl in beautiful, scenic Montgomery, Alabama. Georgia State blows out Ball State 51-20.
Yeah, it wasn't even a game.
Third quarter, I mean, it was competitive early on, and then third quarter
when it was like 7-7.
Yeah, and then 31 unanswered at one point by Georgia State. Great for Coach Elliott for an 8-win season. I think that's the most wins in school history. When I think they won 6 of their last 7 or 7 of their last 8 to finish the year in the Fun Belt. So great work by Georgia State knocking off Ball State, and there were no answers for Ball State defensively in the middle of the field. Middle of the field was there all day long for Georgia State. Good on them.
Took advantage of it.
Dominated the line the whole time.
No doubt.
Maxploitation. Sorry,
No,
I got to throw shade at the Mac. They were never fair to Youngstown State. They wouldn't let us in.
Guys, what do you say we wrap up here in the first half of the show? When we come back in the second half, we're going to take a look at this coming week's games, plus and including the college football playoff semifinals, which will be played on New Year's Eve. All that and more when we return with the second half of the review. You are listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Congratulations, you have made it to the second half of the show. Guys, I forgot to do it in the first half, so I got to do it now. It's the obligatory promo time. Make sure you tune in on our YouTube channel to watch us if you're not watching us now. You can find us on social media at OSG Sports, both on Facebook and Twitter, and of course YouTube, but you probably know that. And then we have the phone app that John is doing Count Floyd with. And if you don't know who that is, look it up.
That's your Google search for this show, kids.
You can get the phone app free if you go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. Download it now. It costs you.
You can do it on your tablet.
Absolutely nothing.
Mine's bigger.
It's a versatile app.
Yes, it is.
It's versatile.
Versatile. Mobile, agile, hostile, and versatile.
Guys, we got a whole long list of games here.
Why,
20+ games to get squeezed in over the course of the holiday week this week. Might as well take our dive into the previews here by kicking off with a quick lane bowl. Western Michigan versus Nevada in a game I know absolutely nothing about other than the names of the two teams that are playing.
11 a.m. Eastern time on Monday. Western Michigan's a 7-point favorite.
Yeah, Nevada playing, and their body clock says it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And you get a trip to Detroit out of this.
Wake up.
Yeah, I'm going with Western Michigan.
Get this. Here's the swag bag, and for any bowl game that you want to know what the swag bag is, just let me know here. Here's the swag bag for the quick lane. A JBL Tune 750 BTNC Bluetooth, noise canceling wireless headphones by Harman, a $175 Best Buy gift card, a Photo Slap life-size photo sticker, a backpack and tag, a commemorative football, and other game merchandise. That's what you get for waking up early to play in the quick lane.
Solid.
Not an oil change?
Well, throw the quick lane bowl. That's really all that needs to be said about that game.
Tires?
Moving on to the Tuesday slate of games at noon on Tuesday, a game that John will be attending with the lovely Miss Patty. Houston in Auburn playing in downtown Birmingham, noon o'clock or 11 a.m. for those of you in the central time zone. This actually could be an intriguing game.
Yes.
Yeah, it
20
could be.
Houston at 11-2 coming in. How motivated are they, considering that they have dropped to the Birmingham Bowl? Auburn's a 2.5-point favorite, and I think probably the motivation of the Houston Cougars plays into that. Auburn comes in at 6-6. Bo Nix has decided to portal to Oregon. TJ Finley is going to be starting. And I think that this is big for Auburn, getting these 15 extra practices in for this game. For me, this comes down to how motivated Houston is to play at a noon o'clock game in Birmingham.
New quarterback with something to prove, to show the job should be his.
True.
Yeah, but Houston's not a bad team. I've watched them a couple of times, and they can get after it. And that's why I tend to lean toward the Cougs in this one.
Yeah, would not be surprised to see Houston pull off the win, although I suspect that's not going to go over really well in the Nelson household, and probably not really well.
It will not if Auburn finishes at 6-7. The pitchforks and tiki torches will be on their way down I-85, trust me.
As they are almost every other year.
Check.
A little later in the afternoon, the Surf Pro First Responder Bowl featuring Air Force and Louisville. Louisville returning to a bowl game after an absence last year. Scott Satterfield did a decent job. Is slowly making some improvements for the Cardinals team. Air Force played pretty well. They got a share of the military title because
everybody had the commander-in-chief. I think it was a three-way dance, yeah.
Yes, they beat Navy beat Army, and Army beat Air Force, so therefore we all share.
So you're all winners this year.
Woo! Participation trophies for everybody.
Yep. Louisville's a 1.5 favorite right now for the 3:15 Eastern kick. I think for me, it's going to come down to possessions. If Air Force does what Air Force does, they don't turn the ball over, they eat up clock. I think it's going to create issues for Louisville. I'll go with Air Force here.
Yeah, I got to go with the Air Force too, because Louisville has not faced an option attack like this before. And you're going to be wasting their 15 extra practices on trying to defend the triple option, which you're not probably going to face at all next year. So I'm going to go with the Air Force in this one.
I'm with the Armed Service Academy after going to that Army game the other night.
Don't bet against them.
Nope.
The AutoZone Liberty Bowl in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee, Mississippi State versus Texas Tech. Interesting in that we've got the Pirate playing against a team he formerly coached about a decade or so ago.
Irony, college bowl season. That never happens.
Ever since Texas Tech got rid of Matt Wells, that's a totally different program.
Yeah.
Playing with house money. But Mississippi State, I thought it played better as the season went on as well. So you got two teams with very similar philosophies. There could be 70 points by one team there in Memphis, and I'm sure the swag is just as lucrative as the points are going to be in Memphis. But if I got to go with a team here, I'm going to go Mississippi State, and I think it's going to be 70-63 type of game.
With 130 passes thrown.
Yeah. It's probably, it could be an 8-hour game.
Wow. I agree with you. Texas Tech is like the only team besides North Texas not spending money on players, so I don't see them doing anything.
Here's your swag bag. A Bose SoundLink Flex Bluetooth speaker, a Caravelle by Bulova watch, a Nike backpack, sunglasses, athletic shoes, and sports sandals, and a commemorative football. That is what you get for participating in the AutoZone Liberty. Athletic. I'm guessing it's probably tied to like Maui Joe or Maui Jim or whichever dude has the sandals part of it all. You go with athletic.
No Elvis sunglasses.
I know.
To be honest with you, I kind of was expecting some form of auto parts.
I know. And get an AutoZone gift card as a part of it too.
Instead of spark plugs and wiper blades.
Yes.
A little later in the evening, it's the Holiday Bowl featuring UCLA versus North Carolina State in beautiful sunny San Diego.
Well, this might be at Dignity Health Sports Park, considering that they're still building the 35,000 seat facility for San Diego State for next year. Right now, NC State's a 2-point favorite at 9-3, ranked 18th in the CFP. UCLA's 8-4.
Yeah, and NC State's got a pretty decent running attack. I've liked the Wolfpack all year. They've, they got that signature win against Clemson. So I got to go with the Pack in this one.
I'd take the Pack just because they're, UCLA's reputation. Yeah, the fact that you could get to smack them in a bowl game, I think is going to be extra motivation on top of it all.
Down go the Fighting Chip Kellys.
Yeah, no, it depends on
and
how
the final game on Tuesday. The final game on Tuesday night, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, West Virginia versus Minnesota, 10:15 p.m. Eastern kickoff.
Minnesota's a 5 at 8-4. West
Where
Virginia.
Are they playing this again?
Is this one at Chase? Yeah. Okay. They're squeezing this into the home of the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Minnesota in this game. And will there be more than 5,000 people in the stands for this one?
Agree and no.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, Minnesota hasn't been the same since they lost their best player on offense. That running back went down the Ohio State game. It's a completely different team without him.
Oh yeah,
he was healthy. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
Playing
definitely.
in front of a crowd of friends and family.
Is an
Moving on to Wednesday's bowl game slate. The first game of the day, the New Era Pinstripe Bowl, Maryland and Virginia Tech. Wow. Ooh, that really got a lot of interest.
Maryland's a 3.5.
That's an old ACC game.
Yes, it is.
ACC reunion.
Exactly. Well, Virginia Tech had a coaching change. Maryland was uninspiring this year. A couple uninspiring programs.
In an uninspiring
game. I see where you're going, Will.
Uninspiring game. I don't care.
Well, I mean, you got the Maryland players playing not to be invited to go to the transfer portal.
Exactly.
True.
In Virginia Tech, yeah, they play football too.
Yes.
If I got to pick, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech.
If I got to pick, I'm picking some other thing to watch on television. That's what
Me
I'm
too.
Yeah.
I'll take the Terrapins in a game I won't watch.
No, a slightly more interesting game comes a little later in the afternoon when the Cheez-It Bowl takes place, featuring Clemson and Iowa State.
Wow, careful there, Cowboy.
I know.
Watch it, son.
Clemson 19th in the CFP at 9-3, a 1.5 point favorite. Iowa State's at 7-5.
You can't go wrong with Cheez-Its, though.
No.
Well, they all orange, and that's why I have to go with Clemson in this game. Yeah, I'm interested to see. Remember, Clemson still has an elite defense, and they're going up against
they have no
Brees
coaches.
Hall, huh?
But they have no coordinators.
They have no coordinators. That's right. I haven't even seen if Brees Hall or Brock Purdy are playing in this game, if they've opted out. Those are a couple of really good offensive weapons right there going up against a really elite defense. So there's some parts of this game I'm really interested in seeing. But for the fact that Cheez-Its are orange, I've got to go with Clemson.
$400 Amazon gift card, a Fossil watch, an OGO backpack, and a commemorative football are available.
Fossil still makes watches?
Not a bag of Cheez-Its? Come on.
No, and that's the thing. That's why I was checking.
The
I wanted to see
trophy's
if
filled with them.
Yeah, see, then you get to dump Cheez-Its on the winner, hopefully.
Okay, I can live with that.
Did they get like a box of Kleenex for Clemson's coach? Because he's been crying all week about everything.
It's Dabo Swinney. It's what he does.
Ohio State broke him last year, and I couldn't be happier for his whole season. Go Iowa.
And then later that evening, the Valero Alamo Bowl featuring Oregon and Oklahoma.
Probably the best of all the pre-playoff game bowl games, in my opinion. Although Oregon is going out there without Mario Cristobal, and Oklahoma is going out there without Lincoln Riley. But still, I mean, there's some great players on both ends of the ball.
Could have been a hell of a matchup.
Could have been a hell of a. I still think it is a hell of a matchup, no matter who's coaching in those games. But if I got to twist my arm and pick someone, I'm going with Oklahoma. I think this is the most entertaining of all the lower tier bowl games.
Oklahoma's a 4.5 point favorite. I'll take the Sooners in this one, Marty.
I don't know. They've lost so much. You just wonder about the motivation on the team. Like how many guys have left? How many guys want to leave, just haven't announced it yet? I'm gonna go Oregon.
I think you got that on both teams.
Yeah.
True.
I'm going to take Oregon too because I think they've got a couple of guys, including Mr. Thibodeau, with something to prove for draft scouts.
True. $490 MasterCard gift card by University Fan Cards, an ice shaker bottle, a mini helmet, and a team panoramic photo.
Mini helmet?
And a team photo.
Team photo.
Well, I think what they're banking on University Fan Cards $490 MasterCard gift card. I think that's where they're trying to sway folks.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of Photoshop on that team photo if they took it already.
True.
Moving on to Thursday's slate of games, the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl, featuring North Carolina and South Carolina in the renewal of an old interstate rivalry come Thursday morning.
The last thing I want is to get Duke's Mayo dunked on me if I'm the winning coach.
Which is exactly what's going to happen because both Mac Brown and South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer have agreed to allow it to happen.
It'll be fun. Does anybody have any bacon lettuce with them? Have a sandwich, maybe some tomato, get some maters in there. Oh, God. North Carolina's a 9-point favorite, by the way.
Just because Sam Howell's playing, which I'm kind of surprised about that, which is why I'm going to go with North Carolina in this game. Other than that.
Yeah, I was surprised South Carolina got bowl eligible, but I guess if you have a pulse, you're bowl eligible.
And I'm going to make a lot of people angry. Just say the North is always better than the South, so North Carolina.
All right, Mr. You get a Hypervolt Go massager and a shopping experience at Belk's South Park flagship store. That's what you get from
massager.
Massager.
It's one of those.
Doesn't Belk sell helicopters?
So
it's Bell, sir. You're a letter off.
Bell.
Yeah, Belk is like a discount clothing store. It's kind of roughly akin of going to Marshall's.
Oh,
a
fancy
shopping
Marshalls.
experience at
Gotcha.
Belk's South Park flagship store. plus your massage gun. Every player gets a massage gun and a shopping experience.
Don't discount the massage guns. Those things can be pretty valuable.
Yeah, those are nice. Those are nice. I'll give it that.
That could have saved the Patriots owner a lot of money.
Good afternoon, Marty. Bravo. And the middle of the day game, the afternoon game, if you will, the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl.
Is that better than Perfect? Is this like Kurt Hennig's bowl game being Trans Perfect?
Is it an offshoot of Dude
Tennessee and Purdue? Beautiful. Nash Vegas. I have no idea what Trans Perfect is.
It's better than perfect. It's Trans Perfect. It's perfect.
You're gonna have to cut in a Google graphic of you typing in what is it.
Yes, I can do that.
Tennessee's a 5-point favorite at 7-5. Purdue's 8-4, and this is by far one of the most lame gift bags of the season.
Oh, wait a minute! Before we get to that,
it's not Trans Perfect.
Translations is a translation, e-discovery, and language services company based in New York City.
Oh, so they got no money to give them gifts.
Exactly.
The gift is a week in Vegas.
Well, so here's
congratulations. You're coming to Nashville.
Yeah. So the gift is listed as gift suite. That's it.
All right.
That's all you get for going to Nash Vegas. You get a gift suite.
If I got to pick some,
they get Cheez-Its too.
So is that like a room full of stuffed animals or something, or things that you have to turn in tickets for after winning skee ball?
Yes, that'd be my guess.
Hopefully some barbecue. It's pretty good down there.
It's true.
Yeah, there are some good barbecue places in the Music City. I gotta agree with Marty on that one.
All right, I gotta go with Purdue in this game because they always show up for the big games.
True, that is true.
I like Tennessee because
it qualifies.
They'll have a little bit more fan support there. Your early evening kickoff, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, featuring Michigan State versus Pittsburgh, and what could be another high-scoring game.
Oh, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Michigan State's gonna blow Pitt's doors off. I'm sorry. Everybody's playing for Michigan State pretty much, right?
Michigan State has the worst pass defense in NCAA history.
But Pittsburgh ain't got no passer.
And their
quarterback.
Their quarterback's already preparing for the draft.
Yeah.
So Kenny Pickett was there. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen him because he could have thrown for 1,000 yards in this game.
Yeah, but without him, they're a MAC team.
Yeah, I think.
Apropos, since Pat Narduzzi's our head coach.
Yes.
Oh
gosh.
Anyway, moving on to the last game of the evening, the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl featuring Wisconsin and Arizona State.
10:30 Eastern kick. Wow.
It's only 7:30 local time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big gap between games.
Yeah.
It is.
And that you get the gift suite in Las Vegas as well for two teams that are 8-4, and Wisconsin's a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, going to Vegas for a bowl trip's not that bad of a reward.
No, I agree.
No, especially if you stay after the game for New Year's.
Oh yeah.
Smart play.
Because really, neither of these two teams are particularly interesting to me. Wisconsin's the same Wisconsin team that they are every year.
Yes.
Vanilla.
And Arizona State got off to a semi-okay start, but kind of floundered down the stretch.
Check.
And they lost their starting running back to the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I got to go with Wisconsin as
Go
a 6 point.
Badgers.
Yeah.
Badgers all over them. I just hope they play jump around.
Yeah.
They probably should.
You know they will. Moving on to New Year's Eve games, the Gator Bowl featuring Wake Forest, now versus Rutgers instead of Texas A&M. We talked about
It's
that
off
a little
the board,
earlier in the
boys.
show, guys.
Did they take it off the board?
It's off the board.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Call it an exhibition game, call it what you will. It'll be in front of a crowd of about 5,000 people.
Tight shots, nothing but tight shots.
Maybe Maybe Wake Forest will bring a few people down from Winston-Salem, but why the heck would Rutgers fan come to this game?
A trip to Jacksonville.
Jacksonville at New Year's Eve.
Yeah, not exactly the tourist destination of the universe if you've been there.
No, but it gets them out of New Jersey.
Yeah, I was going to say, you been to Jersey?
And they get some golf in.
Yeah, that you could do.
Yeah, go to TPC, that's true. Very nice. Good call.
Plus, if you retire from Jersey, you're probably living in the Jacksonville area anyway.
That's true. That's true.
You might have a lot of blue-haired alumni down there.
Your 2:00 kickoff, a traditional mid-afternoon Friday New Year's Eve day game. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl featuring Washington State in Miami. For all the Frosted Flakes in the universe.
And don't they dump Frosted Flakes on the winning coach in this one?
I think so. They should.
Two teams at 7-5, and this one is even across the board, and there are no Frosted Flakes as a part of your gift.
What is your gift?
And neither one of them are great. So
no, they're not.
Oh,
nice.
That's
gift suite, Majestic Pro Base Fleece pullover, a timely watch, an OGO Excelsior backpack, a cap, and a souvenir coin.
Basic, so you
Canes.
get a fancy quarter.
Yes.
Go with the Canes.
In honor of that, I'll flip a coin to pick somebody, and I'll go Washington State.
I'm going to go with Washington State too, because why not? Kicking off at the same time, a game that's not on traditional TV. You're going to have to go look for it if you have any interest, and that's the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl featuring Central Michigan and Boise State.
Get your gear this year, because I guarantee you they won't be sponsoring it next year.
Now, how is that game viewable?
Probably
on Barstool.
You got to go to Barstool Sports, who is streaming it.
Oh,
okay.
I guarantee you that website just shits the bed.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's going to be like the first week of Sunday Ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to drop out the entire time, and everybody's going to give up on it in less than a quarter.
And you're assuming there's more than 100 people will be able to figure out where the damn game is.
So is that the only non-ESPN owned bowl?
No.
Sun Bowl and Holiday. Holiday's on Big Fox. So those are the 3 of the 43 that are not on the 4-letter platform.
Well, I wish them well, just because they're not owned by them. Even though they're owned by dirtbags.
Yes.
Without getting into the Barstool history, because it's a whole other subject topic.
It's an entirely different show. Yes.
I'll just say Boise State for the win.
Lululemon backpack, a Reveal custom suit jacket, a bucket hat, a Hypervolt Go massager, a BB Tech wireless waterproof Bluetooth light-up speaker.
Ooh.
And how many people will be in Tucson for this game?
Tight shots. Nothing but tight shots.
10. The number is 10.
Like Ty Dillinger.
It's warmer than Michigan, so maybe a couple Michigan fans.
Yeah, you might get some snowbird.
Yeah, directional Michigan school for the loss. And then we have our semifinals. The first
will be
one
played.
The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in beautiful Jerry World featuring Cincinnati and Alabama. Guys, go at it because there's a lot to talk about and take in here.
Plenty of tickets available too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got 2 extra.
Alabama's a 13.5-point favorite in 1 versus 4. I just think that late third, early fourth, I think that the depth of Alabama is going to start those 2s and 3s that you were looking at in the running game in the first and second quarter. They're going to turn into 7s and 8s, and they could end up covering that 13.5. I think they just cover it by the end of it. I think Cincinnati puts up a good fight for 2.5 quarters.
I'm just going to flat out pull for Cincy. SEC hasn't been doing anything against Power 5, in the bowl game this year, so I'm going to hold out hope for Cincy, although I know it's probably a fool's wish. But go Bearcats.
Well, the college football playoff finally has a Cinderella story.
Yes.
To me, the Cincinnati Bearcats are the 1968 New York Jets. At that point in Super Bowl history, the NFL had dominated the AFL. And there were talk about the shit canning the entire merger because of that. And then Jets won, the rest is history. What I mean by this is Cincinnati's broken the glass ceiling. They've been able to break through as a group of 5 team and get into the playoff. And I think the committee had their noses up when they did this. Okay, here's a chance for you to prove yourself. And if Cincinnati comes into this game and does what you guys say they're going to do, then that just screws every other group of 5 team from ever, even if they expand, to ever get into an opportunity to play for a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they lose by 3, I still think the committee will have an excuse never to take one.
Of course. Well, we gave them
all sorts of pressures on Cincinnati, obviously, and I think they're playing with house money. They're going to go in there. They're going up against Alabama. They know what they're going up against. And what I'm always impressed by Cincinnati is they care about the 5 guys on the interior line. They know that's where games are dictated and won or lost. And I think that's lost on a lot of people who watch Cincinnati because they have a very similar philosophy as Alabama. The trenches matter. And that's what I'm interested in this game. I want to see how Cincinnati's guys in the trenches handle Alabama's guys, because Desmond Ridder is going to go out there and try to prove himself that he's as good as a quarterback as anybody in the nation. And I think Cincinnati's got some talent on the edges, in the backfield, and their defense too. Luke Fickell is one of the better defensive coaches in the country. But the depth issues are real. And can they overcome that? Cincinnati has to get up early and build a lead early in the game for that shock factor. But again, to me, they're the 68 Jets. They're not playing for themselves. They're playing for the Mountain West. They're playing for the MAC. They're playing for the Sun Belt, and to have their opportunities to be in the party. So, although they're going to go Big 12, this is their shot to help the other group of 5 teams. So, I like Cincinnati to be competitive. My head tells me Alabama's going to win it, but my heart wants Cincinnati to win it.
Yeah, I get where Wolfie's coming from there. It depends a little bit on which Alabama team shows up. The one that played Auburn might get beat.
Yeah.
The one that played Georgia will not get beat.
Yeah.
And that's the question. You don't really know which one's going to be there. I would love to see Cincinnati win the game. I just don't know that they're capable of it. We'll have to see how it plays itself out, but I expect this one to be probably the biggest nail biter of the 2. Both games should be pretty competitive. And speaking of the other championship semifinal game, the other game, the 8:00 kickoff, the Capital One Orange Bowl featuring the Georgia Bulldogs and the Michigan Jim Harbaughs.
The team up north for Marty.
Thank you. Residents of Satan's Mitten. There's easy directions from Ohio. It's you go north till you smell it, then you go west till you step in it.
This is an intriguing matchup for different reasons than the other game, though, guys.
Yeah.
You're talking about 2 teams that have kind of lived on their defense this year with some flashes on offense. And you're talking about 2 coaches who have made their reputations as basically guys who think a little bit too much.
Yes.
And tend to do stupid things under pressure when the games are on the line. The question is, who makes the least amount of mistakes and who wins the game?
Georgia.
Kirby, Georgia.
What?
Georgia's a 7.5-point favorite. I think that Kirby makes the least amount of mistakes. I think Georgia wins.
Harbaugh's going to do something stupid. He always does something stupid.
Yes.
Whether it's wearing cleats into a recruit's home on his mother's hardwood floor and refusing to take them off. True story. I just don't see Michigan rising to the occasion.
Well, I'm going to go with Michigan in this game because I think defeating Ohio State was a huge chip off the shoulder of Michigan to where they're playing with house money now. And you saw it in the Big Ten title game against Iowa. They just played loose and just annihilated an Iowa team that I thought was pretty good. And I think they're still playing with house money going into Georgia. And if they watched any of the Alabama-Georgia film from the SEC title game, they know they got an elite defense, and they know all they have to do is force Stetson Bennett to throw the deep ball, which he can't do. And I think that is a factor in the game for Georgia. I mean, they've got to be able to do that because I think Michigan's going to put 8 guys in the box and stop the run, knowing that they cannot throw the deep ball with any consistency. And offensively, I thought Michigan has figured some things out. As long as Jim Harbaugh doesn't do anything stupid, which the factor is very high, I like Michigan in this game to win it. I think it's going to be a fun. To me, it's the most entertaining of the two semifinal game. This one is the one that is must see TV as far as a football sense. Alabama, Cincinnati, it's Cinderella. It's NC State and Houston. It's Georgetown, Villanova. They use a college basketball term, but this one is the game that is must-see TV because you got heavyweights going at each other.
Yeah, I just think after getting embarrassed, I think Georgia's going to come out just a little extra pissed off.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they want that rematch.
And as long as they don't run any fake punts, they could win.
God.
So we want SEC Nirvana in Indianapolis?
And that's what's best for business, isn't it?
As much as I hate the SEC, anybody with Michigan.
A, B, M.
At the end of the day, I think if that happens, you're talking about the 2 best teams legitimately. So how can you shoot it down? I mean, it might be the one year where that's just the way it is.
But it won't be like it was in 2018 when they played here in Atlanta.
No.
When you definitely had SEC Nirvana. And playing it in Big Ten country, I think it's going to have a totally different vibe to it. It's like when Alabama and Clemson played in San Francisco for the national championship. You had the 2 most distinctive Southern teams in the Bay Area.
Not that quite extreme, but pretty close to it.
Yeah.
That worked really well for all those empty seats. That was great.
Exactly. They had to give away tickets.
Guys, what do you say we wrap up the show? We've talked long enough, and it took a long time to get through all of those games because there's a lot.
Okay. So then real quick, New Year's Day, I'll go with Arkansas. I will go with Oklahoma State.
Big city.
I will go with Iowa. I will go with Ohio State. And I will go with Ole Miss. There's my 5 for Saturday.
Marty, Wilkie?
I would go with the Hogs. Go Hogs. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State, Iowa. I'm going to go with Utah on that one.
Oh, it's usually 6.5-point favorite. So you can
yeah. I'm still going with Utah and Baylor.
All right. Marty.
Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame always chokes, so Oklahoma State. Look at my shirt. I'm taking Ohio State. Sugar Bowl, I'm going to go Ole Miss.
Okay.
Baylor's always soft.
Yes.
Citrus, I'm going to go with Kentucky because they got more Ohio players. Outback Bowl, I'm going to go for Phil's stunt double. Take Penn State.
James Franklin is a stunt double. And then the question is, are you going to cover or is Utah going to cover?
I think we'll cover.
Okay, 6.5.
Yeah. And my picks here real quick. Arkansas for the win. Kentucky, because I think Iowa is extremely overrated. Notre Dame takes Oklahoma State down. The Rose Bowl. This could be an interesting game. Ohio State's defense is really not good. And that might be the difference, but I like C.J. Stroud, so I'm going to go with Ohio State in a shootout. Ole Miss takes the Sugar Bowl, and there's my picks.
There you go.
Yeah, Utah's in the Rose Bowl. That's enough of the story right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see who's opting out, because it's been really, really quiet. And some people got to be going, but they're just trying to keep competitive advantage by not announcing it too early.
Yeah,
maybe. Guys, it's a busy week ahead. We got covered a ton of ground this week. Yep. Next week's show, we'll try to hit on what happened during the championship semifinals, preview the championship playoff, that and more when we come back and bring you the next episode of our show. For Brother Marty, for Brother Wilkie, for OSG Nelson, I am OSG Phil. We are part of the Online Sports Guys college football team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week. Have a happy new year, and we will talk to you again in 2022.
See you next year.
Thanks for listening to The Review. You can find this and past shows by downloading the OSG Sports app on your mobile device. And enjoy all of our shows from the OSG Sports Podcasting Network. The OSG Sports app is up and running. Download it today.